If you could change one thing about the public's perception of climate change, what would it be?
I think that you know how we see these more and more people are talking about how Americans are more lonely than ever, and we are less community oriented than ever, whether by choice or not. But we become much more of an individualistic society, and I think, to me, the solution set to climate change also comes with how we think about ourselves as a community. That maybe we can make one small change in each of our lives today, to really kind of better all of us tomorrow. And I I think if we can have that shift in mentality and almost think about, we need to solve the loneliness crisis and the individual kind of in life of the individual, that more and more, I think, as Americans, we tend to lead as a society. I think it's going to be a collective solution that's needed, and I think ultimately we'll be happier as a result if we can really have that kind of
I
community.
think that kind of dovetails into what I've been hearing and talking about a little bit more is stewardship. And that
Mm,
was a concept that some of the early philosophers that influenced American politics, like John Locke, talked about stewardship and stewardship of the land, and that concept kind of got cooked out of capitalism because it was more like, hey, we didn't take care of the land as much because seemed like it was forever. Like there was a quantity which we could never despoil all of America in the early going. Like there were endless amounts of forests, endless amounts of coal, endless amounts of oil and gas. So, like, we just kind of, oh, well, we don't have to worry about stewardship because we just like make more and burn down whatever and, move on to the next thing. So, we kind of have to get back to that concept of, hey, we need to be good stewards of the planet. And
yes.
that's something that I'm hoping gets it as in economics we talk about it as externalities, and essentially the oil companies didn't have to pay the price of their externalities that they were creating, the pollution problems that they were creating. They didn't pay the true cost. We weren't paying the true cost as consumers for those externalities. Like, we're consuming it without considering the downstream cost to our um, future generations of like forever chemicals and things of that nature. Those things have enormous downstream costs. It's not the 10 cents for the plastic bag, it's whatever the health costs of having cancer or some other disease that relates to for those pollutants. So, um,
Exactly. And now we're like you said, Matt, we as individuals and as communities and society are bearing the cost of it because they chose not to.
right. Yeah, we weren't really looking at it as cold cold-hearted economists really should look at those things and say, hey, we need to look at the true cost, and the true cost include pollution. It doesn't and we didn't do that.